There are some sources that suggest that Isaac Newton made a prediction that the world would end in 2060, but it's important to note that this claim is disputed and controversial. Newton did write about his interpretation of biblical prophecies, and he believed that the end of the world was imminent, but he did not provide a specific date for this event. The idea that Newton predicted the end of the world in 2060 is based on his calculations involving the biblical book of Daniel and the book of Revelation. Isaac Newton was a renowned English physicist, mathematician, astronomer, and natural philosopher, who was widely recognized as one of the most influential scientists in history. He was born on December 25, 1642, in Woolsthorpe, Lincolnshire, England, and passed away on March 20, 1727, in London, England. Newton's father died just a few months before he was born, and he was raised by his mother and his maternal grandmother. He attended the Free Grammar School in Grantham, where he showed great aptitude for mathematics and science. In 1661, he enrolled at Trinity College, Cambridge, where he studied mathematics, physics, and astronomy under the guidance of his mentor, Isaac Barrow. He graduated in 1665 with a Bachelor of Arts degree, and in 1667 he was awarded a Master of Arts degree. In 1666, Newton had a breakthrough in mathematics, discovering the principles of calculus, which he later developed into a systematic method of mathematical analysis. He also developed the law of universal gravitation, which explains how objects are attracted to each other based on their mass and distance. His work on optics was groundbreaking as well, with the publication of his book Optics in 1704, where he described the properties of light and color, and proposed that light was made up of particles. In addition to his scientific work, Newton served as a Member of Parliament for Cambridge University and held various administrative positions at the Royal Mint. He was knighted by Queen Anne in 1705, and in 1703, he was elected as the President of the Royal Society, a position he held until his death. Isaac Newton's contributions to science were immense and had a profound impact on the development of physics and mathematics. His laws of motion and gravity are still used today in modern science, and his work on calculus forms the foundation of modern mathematics. Newton's discoveries and theories influenced many great scientists that came after him, including Albert Einstein. But there were other elements to his work that still pique interest to this day, namely, his prediction the world would end in just what is now just a few decades' time in 2060. For millennia, doomsday predictions on how exactly the world may end have been laid bare by philosophers and scientists, and the mathematician responsible for carving out the laws of physics, Sir Isaac, was among them. Sir Isaac, who also developed calculus, actually penned his own version of when the world would end on a sheet of paper signed by the mathematician in 1704, which had for an age been lost. The page, History of Yesterday, noted in 2022, had 7 points that simplify the reason why Sir Isaac believed the world would end in 2060 as a result of math, as well as the Book of Daniel, which helped forge his argument. The Book of Daniel is among the oldest books of the Bible and focuses on humanity's first steps, taken from a Christianity standpoint. Among its themes is the idea of a biblical apocalypse and how this may happen, Andrei Tapalaga, the curator of History of Yesterday, noted. Sir Isaac's notes stated, the 2,300 prophetic days did not commence before the rise of the little horn of the he-goat. Those days did not commence after the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple by the Romans A.D. 73. The times and half a time did not commence before the year 800 in which the Pope's supremacy commenced. They did not commence after the reign of Gregory VII. 1084. 5. The 1,290 days did not commence before the year 842. 6. They did not commence after the reign of Pope Greg. 7. 1084. The difference between the 1,290 and 1,335 days are parts of the 7 weeks. Therefore the 2,300 years do not end before ye year 2,132 nor after 2,370. The times and half time do not end before 2060 nor after 2,344. The 1,290 days do not begin, this should read, end before 2090 Newton might mean, 2,132 nor after 1,374 Newton probably means 2,374. According to Sir Isaac, Mr. Tapalaga remarked, the world's end would come 1,260 years after the Holy Roman Empire was formed, which was founded in the year 800. So this would lead to Earth's downfall in 2060. Mr. Tapalaga continued, "Now there is a lot to digest for those that do not have a good grasp of Christianity. First of all, the term end of the world has many meanings in this world, but what Newton means by the end of the world is something different from what most people refer to as the end of the world. Most people define it as the end of existence or the end of our humanity where we all die. The end of the world that Newton is referring to in this theory based on the book of Daniel is that this will be when Jesus will come back and bring peace to this world by being the ruler for a whole millennium." While Sir Isaac died a bachelor somewhere between 1726 and 1727, records disputing the exact date, his work is still pored over by critics and scholars, and his influence is still seen today. Perhaps the most celebrated moment of his illustrious career came at Woolsthorpe Manor, where Sir Isaac began wondering about gravity, including the iconic moment he saw an apple fall off the tree. This moment helped create his theory, and the apple tree responsible for the iconic moment in history was last year dedicated to the late Queen Elizabeth II as part of her Platinum Jubilee celebrations. Emma Michelat, operations manager at Woolsthorpe Manor, said, "We are very fortunate to look after not just a nationally significant tree, but one whose story echoes across the globe." Sir Isaac watched one apple fall at his childhood home between 1665 to 67, and the scientific world changed forever. We have the privilege to welcome thousands of visitors every year to tell his story. Throughout history, many individuals and groups have predicted the end of the world, often based on religious or spiritual beliefs. Here is a list of some of the most notable predictions. Nostradamus, the French astrologer and physician, predicted that the world would end in the year 3797. William Miller, a Baptist preacher who predicted the world would end on October 22, 1844, an event known as the Great Disappointment. Charles Taze Russell, the founder of Jehovah's Witnesses, predicted the end of the world in 1914. Harold Camping, the radio broadcaster and Christian fundamentalist, predicted that the world would end on May 21, 2011, and later revised his prediction to October 21, 2011. Ronald Wineland, the leader of the Church of God Preparing for the Kingdom of God, predicted the end of the world on several occasions, including May 27, 2012, and later revised his prediction to May 19, 2013. David Meade, a self-proclaimed Christian numerologist who predicted that the world would end on September 23, 2017, based on his interpretation of the Book of Revelation. The Mayans, it was widely believed that the Mayan calendar predicted the end of the world on December 21, 2012, but this belief was largely based on a misinterpretation of the Mayan calendar. The Mayan prediction of 2012 was based on the Mayan long count calendar, which was a complex system for tracking time that the Mayans used. The long count calendar was divided into cycles, with the end of the 13th Bakshan, a cycle of about 394 years, occurring on December 21, 2012 in the Western calendar. Some people believed that this date marked the end of the world, or at least a significant event of global significance. However, it's important to note that the Mayans themselves never predicted that the world would end on this date. Rather, they saw it as the end of one cycle and the beginning of a new one. In fact, the Mayan civilization collapsed long before 2012, so they couldn't have predicted events that would occur after their civilization's demise. Moreover, the long count calendar was just one of many calendars used by the Mayans, and they didn't believe that the end of the 13th Bakshan represented an apocalypse or the end of time. The Mayans believed in cyclical time, where events repeated themselves in patterns, and the end of one cycle simply marked the beginning of a new one. So, while some people may have interpreted the end of the 13th Bakshan as a sign of the end of the world, this was never a part of the Mayan prediction. The idea of a doomsday scenario in 2012 was largely a misinterpretation and misrepresentation of Mayan beliefs and practices. There are several scientific scenarios that could potentially lead to the end of the world. Asteroid impact. If a large asteroid were to collide with Earth, it could cause widespread devastation and potentially lead to the extinction of many species, including humans. Supernova explosion. A nearby supernova could release a burst of radiation and energy that would be catastrophic for life on Earth. Gamma ray burst. A gamma ray burst from a distant star could potentially destroy Earth's atmosphere and lead to a mass extinction event. Solar flare. A particularly powerful solar flare from the sun could disrupt Earth's magnetic field and cause widespread power outages, potentially damaging the infrastructure necessary for human survival. Global pandemics, new and virulent diseases could potentially spread rapidly and cause a global pandemic, killing millions of people and destabilizing human societies. Climate change. If human activities continue to cause significant and rapid changes to the Earth's climate, it could potentially lead to ecological collapse, widespread famine, and societal unrest. Artificial intelligence. If artificial intelligence were to surpass human intelligence and become uncontrollable, it could lead to catastrophic consequences, potentially including the end of human civilization. Except it is used well for the advancement of human civilization and well-being of planet Earth.